partnership with Nairobi City County, the Department of Education, together with students from 11 VTCs in Nairobi. As an institution, we have noted that the current governor, when looking at the manifesto, the governor of Nairobi, His Excellency Sakaja, he has been very clear about the place of youth in the development of Nairobi. His manifesto speaks about modeling and equipping vocational training centers for them to be skill hubs. The same manifesto speaks about training trainees in these institutions to be able to align to the job market and opportunities therein. His manifesto also speaks about adequately funding vocational training centers and equipping them with modern equipment. Therefore, as an institution, we felt it's important to give the current governor a baseline of the current status of the VTCs that he's coming to work in. We understand it's one thing to have a manifesto, but how do we then ensure that this manifesto is being implemented? So this exercise was, for one, to look at all the 11 VTCs, which we did in this study. Look at the 11 VTCs, critically looking at the issues around infrastructure, the issues around equipment, issue around human resources, how many trainers do we have in our facilities, and generally issues around even the student motivation, what type of courses are we offering. We are aware that as a country we have issues to deal with climate change. How are our VTCs aligning with issues and training our trainees around the green economy? We have issues around solar, and we want to leverage on that. But how informed are our courses? Do our courses align with this? We have the trade department at national level. We have the agriculture sector at national and county level. We have Vision 2030. All of these are aspiring to get us somewhere as a country. And so then we need to look at the courses we are offering within our VTCs helping us to get there, or are we having a disjointed approach? So this is what the report seeks to look at. How do we, as a county, say that we are prioritizing youth and vocational training, but have we looked at the gaps therein? So from our report, we have found out that infrastructure is very poor in our facilities. From the report shared by the county, we can see that the absorption of the development budget has not been absorbed well. This means that correlates with the poor infrastructure we are seeing in our facilities. We have issues around, which was the center part of this study, looking at how are we giving the youth an opportunity to actually make use of vocational training centers. As National Taxpayers Association, we have undertaken a similar studies in Vihiga, Kisumu, and Nairobi. And we were with this study trying to encourage cross-county learning. So we borrowed and saw that from Vihiga, that county has a capitation fund of 15,000 per student being given. This is not so in Nairobi County. And we see that this has affected retention and transition of students in our VTCs. So our key ask from this study is, one, can we move from the policy of capitation that we have in Nairobi County to actually funding the same, so that we have the county not just relying on the national level grant that we've now been told comes in a different pack, but can the county itself, when we are saying we are prioritizing youth, do we have a capitation fund that can support both infrastructure and the students within the schools? We have seen this working in Vihiga, so we are hoping that this is something that the county can borrow. There have been critical issues that the report has brought, that most of the students in our VTCs come from households that have an income of 10,000 to 20,000 per month. And we have looked at the average cost of courses offered in our vocational training centers. You then see that it's a tall order for these students to be able to finalize their courses. So as a county, when we are saying we are prioritizing youth matters, we should then be alive to the cost of having these students in these vocational training centers, and how do we then use capitation and other financing strategies to ensure retention. In as much as we are advocating for more increased resourcing to this sector, our report has also shown that there is a bit of inefficiency and wastages that has been picked up by the Office of the Auditor General. So our other call is that let us also address the systemic issues that are draining the limited resources within this sector to ensure that there is efficiency in that. But over and above that, we know that the vocational training centers are manned by human beings, and we need to look at their welfare. Again, on this, we would want the learning we have borrowed from Vihiga. At what rate are we attracting and retaining? Are we paying our trainers the SRC rates that other counties are paying their trainers? So this is one of the key issues that also came from the key informant interviews, that the trainers are requesting that we look at the terms at which they are employed, so that then this can be able to motivate them. Members of press, I think those are the key issues we wanted to highlight, to really advocate for the capitation. How can our county government look at the capitation, and how can we breathe life into the manifesto of our governor, particularly when you're looking at vocational training. So we hope that this research would be able to get audience, and that is the plan we have for early next year, that this document is shared with policymakers and can improve in terms of the annual development planning and even the budget that we have for the subsequent financial years. Thank you. If there is any question on any area of clarification, I'm happy to.
Bwana Director Leonard, karibu sana. It was a very good eye-opener for me to actually undertake this study, because I also learned a lot. When you study something that you believe in, it's even much easier. And so I got interested in understanding what Hula Baloo was all about, VTCs and TVETs. So the overall objective, of course, as you can all see, is to see, is that, but basically to translate it in English, because it could be, I don't know what language that, but basically was to find out how are the poor getting funded to undertake the courses they're taking, where are they, what is the demographics of this, the poor, the so-called poor, what courses are they doing, and what are the policy considerations that the government ought to have based on this. So basically that was all what the objective was all about. Next slide. And we then had those assignment objectives to develop a report on this, to present the report on PowerPoint, which we did here last week. Class, are we together? And then develop policy briefs, which we did also and shared with NTA, and which we believe will eventually reach the ministry and other stakeholders, and to publish the key findings, recommendations drawn from the reports. Alan, next slide. The methodology was very simple. I mean, I had to go to a lot of your colleges, and also I had to do a lot of field study. I had a lengthy chat with Nancy, the Auditor General, and also with Sakaja himself. And we discussed a lot of things based on that. So the desk research and then mixing it with the actual field visit helped me to understand what are these issues around VTCs and TVETs. Let me also just reiterate, as I pause there, that the essence of VTCs and TVETs cannot be gainsaid. We've all had the country through the presidency saying how much they want to create jobs. So all the training, the training colleges of YMCA were basically under my purview. And I learned something very, very quickly, and that was many years ago actually, that all those who went through the courses at YMCA all got employed before first-class holders from the university got jobs. Am I making sense there? Standard 3, are you hearing me? I'm saying all, and I mean all, because I was really interested in, and that's the only way we could get donor funding. All the people who graduated from Shauri Moyo YMCA, Kisumu YMCA, YWCA in Thika, YMCA in Mombasa, all of them got jobs before BCom, CPA, K holders got jobs. And that tells us that when the government talks about creating jobs and enhancing self-employment, The government simply is saying what the whole world has said over the last so many years, and that is when people are trained in skills, they are more likely to have more self-worth than people who speak good English, countries that into French and Spanish and Kiswahili and Portuguese. Nobody eats proper language and fluency in any language. But if you can sew your own clothes, cook your own food, plant your own seeds, you are likely to get jobs. And I gave an example here of how we saw my own protege get a job at Serena here as the head of plumbing, and has now formed his own company. He's driving a beautiful car just because he did plumbing at TVET. His classmates who possibly got A's and A minuses and went to the university probably, and most probably, and certainly do not have jobs yet. So I always encourage whomever I can, please pursue these courses. They will take you far. Right now, the World Cup has just ended. It was employing 200,000 immigrants. None of them was speaking as fluent English as Irene and Alan, possibly, but all of them had skills that the Qatari government wanted. You also that? They were either doing plumbing, masonry, carpentry, and some were in the hotel industry. Some were just sewing, some were just planning, some were just arranging things. But these are skills that you don't get from the university. You only get them when you go for skills training. So gone are the days when skills training was a second-class qualification. It's become prime and very strategic qualification. The data qualification assurance, of course, again, we talked about this is very important, that we are in an era of COVID, and therefore it was important that we always followed the protocol for COVID. Next slide. Overview of the VTCs in Nairobi. Of course, they all offer certificate, diploma, trade test, and grade 1, 2, and 3. All right? And they're all approved by TVETA. Now, remove that so that I can ask a question. Go to the next one. I want to go to the last table there. No, the last table obviously knows. Okay, standard 4, the lady with the biggest hair in the house. A big hand for her. What does TVETA stands for? Thank you. So the overview of the VTCs in Nairobi is like that. And by the way, we use Nairobi as a microsome, so we believe that this represents the VTCs and TVETs across the country. These are the courses offered and their prices. Of course, a lot of courses are offered, so we just took a sample. Medical laboratory, beauty therapy, hair, dressing, we have got food, beverage, we've got computers, we've got a higher diploma in all those, we've got business, we've got science, we've got computer packages, and CCMA. Those are basically the most popular courses, and those are the prices on average that they are offering across our VTCs and TVETs. And this is very critical because I need also to reiterate once again that my dad retired as the director of education at KIE, and he was not a graduate. He just did a technical course in building and masonry, and he took care of us, the 6 of us. I am not sure if he would have done the same if all he did was to speak a lot of English without skills. But because he's now in his 70s, he still earns his own income by doing the skills he learned in his 20s. Leonard, am I saying the truth? The skills you learn in TVET are lifelong, right? A big hand for my dad. So this is extremely critical because these are the courses that are the most popular amongst the VTCs and TVETs that we covered. A breakdown of different courses offered. Again, I think we've said that. Now we can go to the next one. All right. How you people pay fees, students pay part fee, the government pays the rest. And by the way, the government has said from next year, they will not subsidize education. That is the non-official position of the government by now. So it's even more difficult if it's already that difficult. And the government also approved that HELB offers loans to students attending VTCs, but as we all know, HELB have such preference for TVET and university education. That's the impression we got. Is it the truth on the ground? All right. Others depend on their families, others depend on NGOs. All right, we go to the next slide. Analysis of the report from OAG. Again, OAG, if you could remove that, and I ask standard 3. Standard 3, are we together? Yes. Monitor. OAG stands for what? What does OAG stands for? Kama huwezi chagua mtu a noisemaker like you who will, yes. Choose any noisemaker to tell us what OAG stands for. Office of the Auditor General. A big hand for the noisemaker. All right, so basically what is it saying? And we did indicate this last week, what it says, but generally it says that we've got less money coming into VTCs and TVETs, and then the absorption rate is still a challenge, and accountability is a challenge, especially when it comes to single procurement, and also the access to that money itself is a problem. Now we've seen the last, in this financial year, a lot of VTCs have not even received their money, and that's the impression we got from our sister, the principal from Kahawa, that money is not even coming in the first place, and when it comes in, it's normally very little, and the capitation is even too little, and all this makes it very, very difficult for VTCs to run as they should, which I think, by the way, is symptomatic of all our educational university as well, because you've seen it with Egerton, we've seen it with JKUAT, and we've seen it with more university. Educational institutions are almost going bankrupt. Bwana Director Leonard, am I saying the truth? Yes. That educational system is not well funded? Yeah, it's not well funded. Yes. Yes, the specific beneficiaries. Yeah. So that is a big problem. And I think we have a bigger problem as a country, because when we don't pump money, just like in your household, if you don't pump money in your child's education, the consequences are not necessarily immediate, but they are long-term, and you'll see them later on. Wewe kama kazi kunulia mtoto tu biskuti na maamri, kesho kuto utamkuta kwamba yeye ndio a pariah kid in the estate. Wenzake wakisoma, sasa yeye anaanza kulaani watu tu. Oh, Mungu atakuona. Mungu atakuona. You know those kind of people. So our money into our education, and if we have to grow from the level we are to the level we ought to be, education, health, and education and health should be the most important ministries for any country. That's what happened in Japan. That's what happened in Singapore. That's what happened in Germany. When people are educated, and when we mean about education, we don't mean necessarily scoring the highest. We just mean people who have ability to exploit what God gave them inside. Whether that is football, whether that is sewing, whether that is swimming, whether that is farming. But you are capacity built to exploit your full potential. Analysis of the location by Nairobi County, again, we did explain this. That has been the way it is. The recurrent expenditure versus development expenditure. Now, we had a big problem trying to get these colors. So I want to get those who didn't attend last week. Mwalimu, I'll go with you. What colors are you seeing? The recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure is salaries, chai, transport, repairs, just the normal, ordinary running cost. That is very, very high. From every money that comes from county to these colleges, this is how much is used. And then the orange one is the development expenditure. As you can see, it's not growing at all. So it means that we are not making any headway insofar as infrastructure, courses, quality development are concerned. We are paying salaries, we are paying other things, but we're not doing development. Again, this is very symptomatic with what's happening across our country. Our total annual budget as a country is about 3.6 trillion, and out of that, almost 60–70% goes to salaries. The same thing happens with our counties. In fact, other counties like Kwale, Wajir, Vihiga, almost entirely the amount that goes there it goes to running cost. And so we have to ask ourselves, how do we change this so that we are able to see more development and less expenditure? Even at a personal level, if you earn a certain amount of money and it all goes to your recurrent, that means you are paying your rent, buying your food, sending airtime, buying clothes and what have you, and you're not doing personal development. And I will pause there and ask the guy, the gentleman, yes, that guy. What are personal developments? What examples can you have for personal development? Running costs and developmental costs in VTCs across the country. Yes, we go to the next one. The trends of the country, generally there seems to have been an increase in trends and recurring expenditure, like we've already explained. Basically, this is it. It's almost standard. But like Mwalimu said last week, since this new government came, there is a better flow of income, there is a better flow of money and better flow of salaries. It doesn't delay like it used to delay before. That is the trend we are seeing, and we hope that can continue, and then we pump in more resources in development, right? Household to income, another survey that we did. I mean, how many of our students come from what range of salaries from their parents or guardians? And we saw that the majority are between 10,000 and 20,000 per month.
In your findings, you've made observations that it is easier for students or learners from the TVETs and VTCs to get employed as compared to those from the university. So my question is, where is the gap? Is it in terms of the training at the university level? Is it in terms of inadequate resources? Is it the challenge with students who are pursuing various courses? Or is the challenge with the education sector, that is the curriculum? And what are the recommendations? What are some of the things that the government needs to do to alleviate such problem? Thank you.
The vocational training centers to create more jobs. Because I've been from the informal sector, I personally am a street vendor here in Nairobi. And each and every minute, we have an uptick of the people from other areas. You have been tamacking all around, but you have nowhere to work on. Our job is more easier because we just need 500 shillings. That's enough learning capital. So my question and issue to our undergraduate, in all your entire report, there's a certain gap which is missing: goodwill. The issue of goodwill from all the stakeholders, from the media people, from the students, from the parents, even from the government. The government may allocate more resources from all both levels, but when it is being disseminated now to the centers, you see there are the interest from the political interest, from the nepotism and ABCD. So the goodwill is low instead of it to be high. I would request, if all the areas, all the people, the stakeholders can raise the percentage of the goodwill, I'm sure implementing this report, it will be 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's where the majority lies. So this Kenya, like we said last week, majority of Kenyans lie. And by the way, it may look very little, but they're very privileged. Because in this country, there are very few people who are actually employed. In total, actually, the actual number is about 2.6 million people who are actually employed. Now, out of a population of 52 million, it tells you 50 million wanategemea hawa 2 million. Wengine through conning, wengine through parentage, wengine through, but basically there are 50 million people who depend on these people who are formally employed. But of course, we've got a lot more who are informally employed. Carpenters, mechanics, wale wanaotengeza masimu, farmers, you know, and those are the people that we want to target. I told you last week, by God's grace, we've been privileged to see few countries around this world. You know, and none of them grew because they had many graduates. All of them grew because they had a lot of skills. I will repeat that so that you may understand what I'm saying. I'm saying all the most developed countries. And you know which countries there? You know, the most developed countries, the top 5 most developed countries, if I could get, just mention any. Germany? No, actually the most developed one is, number 1 is Japan. Number 2 is Korea. Number 3 is USA. Number 4 is Germany. Number 5 is Hong Kong. Number 6 is Singapore. Number 7 is Taiwan. In that order. Nimetaja Kenya mahali? Kenya actually iko number 80 or 81. That's how low we are. So we speak Queen's English, lakini Queen's English yetu yote ni kutapeli watu na kutongozana. Hi babe, hi babe, naona kitu kwa mfuko. Are we together? So, what we mean by development is that people can wake up in the morning and use their skills to get food on the table. That's not the same thing we have here in Kenya. If you go to Singapore, if you go to Korea, if you go to Japan, one consistent thing they have is that their young people are busy doing ufumbuzi or inventions. You know that? They're busy manufacturing dolls, they're busy doing what? Sampuli ambao tulikuwepo sisi wakati wa zamani tunapo grow up, kabla hatujabalehe, ambao tulikuwa tunatengeza magari, kutumia mawaya, kutumia maboksi. Nani ambao amegrow up wakati wetu? Hivi munyamaza mwajifanya muelewe Kiswahili. Nauliza, nani amegrow up wakati wetu ambao tulikuwa tunatengeza magari na mawaya? Wewe uligrow up wakati wetu, si ndio? Sasa hivi hakuna uvumbuzi hata katika wanafunzi, hata katika watoto, haipo. We grew up trying to model cows na udongo, ufinyanzi. Mwakumbuka hiyo time lakini? Na wasichana wetu walikuwa wako busy vile wanajaribu kufanya usuzi katika nywele ya doli. Wasichana mnakumbuka hiyo time? Monitor unakumbuka? Mulikuwa mnapewa doli and as a 2-year-old could start plaiting the hair. Irene ni uongo. Lakini sasa hivi Tom and Jerry, Teletubby, mam, nasikia njaa, yogurt. Nini? Kitambo haikuepo. Mwenda kupika kalongolongo nje ndo mle. Kwa hivyo uvumbuzi was there until shetani aliingilia Kenya. Shetani Japan, Korea, South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, Germany, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, in that order, are countries that have really put a lot of emphasis on skills. Yesterday, I was actually in Joburg. And even in Joburg, now the trend is shifting from putting emphasis on university education to people learning skills. In fact, right now, they're actually promoting the guys who repair mobile phones. When they go to Joburg, Cape Town, Durban, that's what they're doing. Because wewe simu yako ikiblock akikufungulia hapa Kenya ni karibu shilingi 500 na 1000. Yes or no? Just because he's learned a skill ya kufungua simu hino na kuiregesha ilivyokuwa.
What we do is to impart skills to our clients, those who come to our the government vocational training centers, and the purpose is to have this after they are done with the training that we offer them, they go out and get employed if they can get it, but mainly to go and study their own business and create jobs. That's what we do. We train them to go and do. If they can be employed, good and it's okay. But if they cannot, they do their own business and create employment for others. We have 11 vocational training centers, as I said, but we have a plan to start 3 more vocational training centers this year and 1 home craft center. The number of trade areas that we offer is 12. These are the traditional trade areas we offer in our vocational training centers, but we have a plan of starting new trade areas, especially the markets, the trade areas that are in the markets. That's something we are planning to do in consultation with our seniors. We have seniors in the government and the national government, because what we offer it mainly is from the national government, because after we are done, it is assessed by either NITA or by NEC. Then there was the issue of disability. In our vocational training centers, we have very few trainees who come there to take our courses. They are very few. I don't know, maybe it's because they don't have the information, but those who come to our VTC, you can go to our vocational training center and you meet some trainee, a disabled trainee. But get it that we have a department or a section that deals with the disability in the county. There is a full section that deals with the disability in the county, and their work is to publicize. They do publicize the courses that we offer in our vocational training centers, and they encourage whoever is disabled and want to take a technical course to come out to our centers. So maybe we need to do more of this sensitization so that those who are disabled get the information and they come forward for our training, especially those who are able, because there are others who are not who cannot come over. So, and the other thing on that, we also partner with several NGOs that support people living with disability. So the county is very open with the people who are living with disability, and in case there is somebody who wanted to come for trainings, there is also the issue of there is a bursary that is given by the county government. They are also encouraged to apply, because you apply the bursary that we give from the county. We encourage people to apply because we give it to the county as the MCS, and we tell them to give first priority to the people who are disabled. So on matters on disability, the county is concerned, is really concerned with it, and it's open in case where there is somebody who needs the service of the county. The county is ready to support the people living with disability. Then there is the issue of subsidy, the county, the finance. As I said earlier, we have been receiving, and we are receiving. We started receiving this money in 2017, 2018. We received, the section of vocational training received 30 million, which we utilized. We spent that money. Then 2019, 2020, 2018, 2019, we received some money, but we did not utilize it because we had not spent the one for 2017, 2018. So it went back to what? To the national government. Then 2019, 2020, we received 31 million, which we are yet to do what? We are yet to spend. Then after 2020, the national government stopped giving this subsidy. And they started giving what we call equitable grants. And it comes as a lump sum. All those departments that were getting the grants individually, now the money comes as a lump sum to the county government, so that the county government can sit and do what? And give each department, like now, like trade, we used to give money for like health, vocational training, roads. Now your person kuja yote, then the county government sits na inafanya nini? It allocates money, but we are yet to do what? To receive that our allocation. Then coming now to the county, that's now the national government. Coming to the county government, goes to the county government, usually allocates money to the what? To the vocational training centers, especially on development. And this money is meant for infrastructure development and the purchase of tools and what? And equipment. And even the tools and equipment. On tools and equipment, we are doing very well. Whatever we get, we spend it. But now when it comes to infrastructure, because of issues here and there, we sometimes are unable to do what? We are unable to spend the money. We received around 42 million for development this financial year. The other years we are also receiving around 30 much, around 40, 50. But the issue now is what? Spending the money. The other thing that I think that those were the main questions that were asked, and I think I've responded to them. And maybe what I can say is that we are grateful to any.
Thank you, Mr. Mititi. He's the Deputy County Director for Vocational Training Colleges in Kenya.
Okay, the moment we change the mindset, we become job creators, then scavengers of these job opportunities. Hapo ndio nchi yetu itagrow. Yes. I remember some time back, we were at par with Japan. Sindio? But saizi Japan is the first world country, na saizi bado tuko tu hapa. So usually we change the mindset. By so saying, I mean I dropped out of school, and as we speak, I'll be opening my production company next year, and I'll be inviting all of you. And besides that, I'm a business person. I've employed more than 10 people, and I'm still doing this as a part-time job. So it's all about we people talking to these young people to change their mindsets. Sisi hakuna kazi ni mingi, but wanataka the blue collar jobs. Na hapo hivyo ndo unasikia they end up, okay, wanatoa hongo ndo wapate hizi kazi. And to our female colleagues, you know what happens here. So kindly, it's all about change of the mindset. Thank you.
Thank you.
All of you. So this is the official launch of the Pro-Poor Education Financing in Kenya report by the National Taxpayers Association, who advocate for pesa zetu Otieno. Can we give them a good round of applause? Here is a report. It's officially out. You can find it on the website of the National Taxpayers Association. It's now officially launched, led by the National Coordinator, Madam Irene Otieno, and Mr. Mititi from the Nairobi City County, in charge of, director in charge of TVETs in VTCs. Wow, there it is. Poor Education Financing Study Report. Maybe you can just take pause for a few photos.